One of the challenges we have is the government is trying to get unemployment down. Sadly, we had a bubble economy. The economy burst. The bubble burst. We have to start over. So the economy is going to bleed, quote unquote. There is going to be unemployment. What we have to do is to be patient and change lifestyles. We need to start to save so that we can accumulate funds so businesses can invest. Investments is what's required, not spending just to get people to work so they can spend again. We're not on a good path right now, both in the States and in Canada.
You brought another cartoon, I think that
yes.
illustrates this.
Yes, the other cartoon, essentially, if we, you need to read it. Your credit rating is a bit low, but we can still offer you a loan. Do you have a problem being fitted for an electronic ankle bracelet? So that's where we are now. We are fully loaded with debt, and we are going to go and we're trying to get more debt. And you know the irony of this? You have senior citizens who have saved their pensions. They're getting virtually nothing on GICs, on fixed interest securities. Instead, what we're doing is we're encouraging folks to borrow on using very low interest rates to get back the economy spending. The economy, 65% of the economy is consumer spending. That's too high. We have to move away from consumer spending driving the economy. We have to move away from the fact that some bad businesses need to close. The governments don't like to hear that. I don't like to hear that, but the reality is where you have a bad business, structurally unsound, it needs to close, and we need to manage the fallout. We have to separate the decisions between closing a business and managing the fallout. We're not doing that. We are too focused on spending, and we really need to understand that God is in control. For example, a ministry like Crossroads, it's very important that people realize that they don't cut back giving the same way they cut back coffee. Because God owns everything. We need to go to the Lord and ask the Lord to show us how to give, which is one of the reasons I'm so committed to say this ministry that I'm making this offer to anyone who is interested in supporting Crossroads. I'll donate as many books as available as possible, actually.
Wow, that's a very generous offer of you, and we really appreciate that, Michael. That so anyone who writes or calls or goes online, makes a donation to the ministry, you will provide a copy
yes.
of the new Managing God's Money
yes.
book,
yes.
the basics.
That's walking God's ownership. You see, you're thanking me, but we need to thank God because I don't own it. It's God's. And Ron, we live 100% as God's. And this is what He laid on my wife's and my heart. And this is what's happening. It's not because I'm not good. No. I'm trying to live a life that's obedient to God. And the Lord tells us we should go and make disciples. And Crossroads, by providing a platform for ministry, for people to talk about ministry, that's making disciples. And I want to come alongside you with this disciple making.
Appreciate that so much. In a moment, we'll put up some information for you. But what can people expect out of the book? Why did you write it, and what do you hope people get out of it?
I wrote the book mainly for my children. And I wrote it as a manual, and it's a lifestyle manual. It starts out, the first chapter says, money management is lifestyle management, a challenging journey to bring you closer to the Lord. And what I'd like people to do is to look at this book and understand God's ownership of everything. There's some technical things. How do you buy insurance? How do you select a financial planner? How do you write a financial plan? Simple. You can write one. How do we start investing? When do we start investing? What's a retirement saving plan like? What is retirement? How do we go about saving? What's your retirement gap? When do you buy insurance? What type of insurance you buy? When don't you buy insurance? What's inflation? How do you save? How do you invest?
Very practical stuff.
Very practical stuff,
yeah.
Because I'd like them to refer to this. Buying a car, leasing a car. Buying a home, renting a home. By the way, the 11th commandment is not thou shalt own a home. It's okay to rent. It's really okay to rent. There's a time to rent. And my Bible doesn't tell me the 11th commandment, you must buy a home because interest rate is low. No. And that's critical, really critical.
Well, Michael, let's have the information come up right now. People say, well, I want to get a copy of the book, and thank you again for your generous offer to provide copies to whoever will request it with a donation to the ministry. And so you can call toll-free 1-800-265-3100. You can get a lot of this practical help and Bible-based teaching on money. And crossroads.ca. You can make a secure online donation right there as well. And so thank you so much for your support of the ministry when you call or write, and just your best ministry gift, whatever God lays on your heart, is so appreciated, and your offer is so appreciated, Michael.
I just want to say one thing. If anybody has credit card debt, don't add to the credit card debt to make this offer. That's not honoring.